Anybody that's non-blood, that's in the inner circle of Tate, and it's a handful of people on that list, what are some codes all of you follow that's a non-negotiable?
I do not like to hang around with men who suffer from a lack of women, because in my experience, any man who can't get women will eventually sell you out for women. Second thing is money. You haven't got to be rich, but if you're starving, you're going to try and sneak some money out of somebody, right? If you can't eat, you'll do anything for food.
When I talk about the Matrix, I'm talking about the systems which have been created by society, which are deliberately designed to enslave. In the movie, the Matrix were used for our body heat, but here in this Matrix, we're used for our efforts and our energies. And you're existing inside of a system which is deliberately rigged to make the rich richer and for the poor to stay poor.
Yeah.
And you can sit there and get upset about it. You can sit there and cry about it and say the system needs to change, which is what some people do, socialists, XYZ. But I know that's a waste of time, right? That's futile. The best thing to do is to understand the rules of the game and find a way to win. So yes, the game is rigged. Yes, the rich are always going to get richer. Yes, the poor are always going to struggle. And that's the way the game is set up. So you still need to find the best move on the chessboard. There's no point sitting there saying, I want to play a different game, because that's never going to happen. Because the people with the money are the people who have the control and they have the power. And why would they have the game set up any other way? Why would they change it?
Yeah.
It's also the basic of economics. I think a lot of people don't understand the true basics of economics. And the basics of economics state that even giving money to the poor, that ends up back in the hands of the rich. There's no way to stop the rich getting richer. I've already explained this before, but I remember during COVID when they did the stimulus checks and they passed out all this free money to everyone, $1,000. In England, they gave a lot more money, but in America, everyone got like $1,400 each and everyone was happy about it, saying, oh, he's giving money to the poor. Yeah, but what do those poor people spend that money on? Amazon stock tripled because they all went to Amazon.
Yep,
so Jeff Bezos got richer, right? But the fact is that there's less companies than there are people. All those $1,400 checks amongst all those people at the bottom ended up in the hands of a few companies, and the rich got richer, and you can't stop it. Doesn't matter if those people invested their money, doesn't matter if they bought stocks, doesn't matter if they bought crypto, doesn't matter if they bought a house, whatever. The people who have the assets and have the companies and have the control are always going to end up getting control of the currency, and they're always going to be richer. So that's kind of how it works.
I think the most dangerous men on earth are the weak men. I think inside of every single man, we're born with a fire inside of us that if we do not control can destroy ourselves and other people. And if you look at men who have no emotional control, because that's what they're trying to teach us to have. They're saying, listen, you're a man, you're allowed to just cry all the time and have no emotional control, no stoicism, just react to your emotions. Do you know what happens when you tell men to just react to their emotions? Anger. You have school shootings, you have rape, you have violence. That's what happens when you tell men to have no emotional control. These school shooters are kids with no emotional control. Rapists are men with no emotional control. Violence and the bullshit you see on the street are men with no emotional control. Telling men to not be stoic is going to create a breed of violent young men who have no emotional control, can't control their emotions, and act out on them. That is absolutely and utterly more dangerous to society than me coming along saying, listen, I don't give a fuck how you feel, young man. It doesn't matter how you feel. You have duties and you have responsibilities as an adult. You must comply and act a certain way, regardless of how you feel. That is better for society as a whole, especially as I'm only teaching the tenets of, listen, go to the gym anyway. Doesn't matter. You don't feel like it. Go anyway. Listen, your girlfriend left you. Your heart's broken. You're not allowed to stalk her. She doesn't want you. Get the fuck over it. What I'm saying is good for the world. They're saying, no, act out to your emotions. Cool, you're creating stalkers, rapists, and school shooters. These people are fucking dangerous. There are millions of young men out there who don't want to wear makeup, who don't want to put on a Pokemon suit and be a clown like Logan Paul, who don't want to take transgender blocking drugs, who don't want to assign themselves to any kind of feminist ideals, who don't want to chop their dick off, who just want to grow up, go to the gym, get strong, be respected, make money, have a beautiful girl and a sports car. There's millions of men who want that. And I speak to those men, and they think
men want that,
and they think by chopping my head off, those men are going to want something else because they'll get rid of me and they'll put James Charles in front of them and say, no, foundation reviews. It ain't going to work. They don't want foundation reviews. It's not what they want. And it's truly crazy. They think that's going to work in and of itself at all.
You don't think it's going to work?
I think I've proven that it's not going to work. What's actually the most upsetting is this. I find it extremely hypocritical. And of all the things in the world, my pet peeves, the things that annoy me most are hypocrites. I find it extremely hypocritical that the system itself pretends it gives a shit about men's mental health. It will sit there and pretend it cares about all the men out there who are depressed, struggling, sad. But when I come along and tell them the only way I've ever found personally to be happy and contented, because I can only talk my personal story, is to become a man of status, to become successful, to go through pain, to use my trauma, to use the bad things that happened to me, to galvanize myself against attacks from the Matrix, as I've just proven I can easily weather. When I talk about men's mental health, they delete me. I thought you gave a shit about men's mental health. I'm the most popular man on the planet, and 90% of my content is not even about women. It's motivational and antidepressive. And you're gonna sit here and delete me saying that I'm bad for women. What about men? I thought you gave a shit. All of a sudden you don't give a fuck anymore, right? Just delete him, who cares?
If Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight, you're a pussy. If that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. If someone richer than me comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I'm a brokey, Elon. Tell me something, right? I'll listen. But if you're going to sit there and go, don't call me names that I'm not listening, you're never going to get anywhere, right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up. But I've got to a point in my life now where I don't have to shut up ever. So I don't.
How long would you say you were a student for? That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm still a student of life, right? Nobody knows everything. And there's still a lot of people who I respect and will always respect and always am quiet around and treat with that absolute respect. But I've been learning for a very, very long time. I've always been very, very observant, trying to pay a lot of attention. And life really doesn't have to be that complicated. When you see somebody that has something you want, you just got to try and work out how they got it.
Yeah.
And that's the missing part. Most people see people with things they want and they don't do the second half. They don't try and work out how they got that thing. Oh, my man has a Ferrari. Okay. I wish I had a Ferrari. Okay. They don't sit there and go for an hour. How did he get a Ferrari? It doesn't cross that part is the part they don't want to do, right? They just go, oh, he has a Ferrari. Wish I had a Ferrari. And they go back to TV.
Yeah.
And that's why they lose.
The reason anyone is broke in the Western world today is because they are one of three things. They are either lazy, they are arrogant, or they are stupid. And if you're broke, you are one of those three things. I don't care what excuse you try and fucking give me. You're gonna have to choose which one you are. Because if you're none of those three things, it's impossible to remain poor in the modern world, in the West. There is so much money. I'm gonna rub it in for all the brokers quickly. There is so much fucking money in the world. I want you to, when you drive down a street, go to London, drive down a street. Every building's worth what? 20 million, 50 million, 100 million. If someone owns all this shit, right? That hotel's $1 billion hotel. That fucking restaurant's worth 15 million. You can take a taxi ride and drive past $1 trillion fucking pounds. Who owns all that shit? People own all of this, right? There's so much money in the world. During COVID, when everyone was complaining that they went broke, I made so much fucking money. You would not believe the amount of money I made. The amount of money that's traveling around and floating around the planet is ridiculous. We're talking about inflation being out of control because they're printing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. It has to go somewhere. Now, they try their very best to keep it amongst the elites, and they do that. But if you're anywhere near the elite, you get money, right? If there's a rainstorm, all you have to do is walk outside, you're gonna get wet. The difference between me and everyone else is I know where the door is to walk outside. Everyone else is fucking floundering around the room, looking on the floor for pennies, a jackass, right? There's so much money. It's so easy to make money in the world. It truly is.